First off, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Obviously you're here. It's game week. It's an exciting moment for our team, our program, our university. I think the biggest thing that we'll continue to go through, right, is what it takes to be a big-time college football program, right? And your guys' dedication to our program and telling the stories of our players and our university is really, really big, okay? Selling out the stadium, getting all the sponsors, getting the boosters, getting the fans, getting the alumni. There's going to be a lot of things that we talk about that we're building together, and I'm really, really excited about it. Really drawing camp to a conclusion last week was a big moment for our team. We really set off kind of 3 base principles that we need to accomplish there, and one was building a team. How do you go about that? You put these guys through a really, really tough process. I thought our connection level of our team is our edge, and we did it through competing. And I thought that was awesome to see these guys bring it each and every day. Forging an identity was really, really important. I think as coaches, you have your schemes, you have things that you want to do. My challenge to our coaches was, what can these guys do really, really well? Too many people focus on what we want to do or what our weaknesses are. What are our strengths? Let's lean into those strengths. Okay, when we take the field Friday night, we need to play to those strengths. We need to call to those strengths. Okay, and I think it's a call to the players. We've had a bunch of guys that have played a lot of football, right? Go out there, be themselves, play to their strengths. And you heard a lot of times through our program when we started camp, it's about being built in the dark. We want really passionate and purposeful people here at Wake Forest. Okay, coaches, support staff, obviously our guys that are on the field, they understand why they're doing it. And the second biggest phase is we got to hold them accountable to a standard. Okay, really excited about where we're at and the players really taking control of our program. The coaches are going to set the vision. Our players are going to drive the action, and I think we've grown tremendously since we've been here December 20th, right? And I think that's ultimately what we want to accomplish together, and I'm really proud of our players, our support staff, our administration. We've had a heck of a 4 weeks, and we're excited to finally get this product to the field and hit somebody else. A lot of announcements came out over the course of the weekend. Okay, we'll start here with our 3 captains, Damon Claiborne, Nick Anderson, and Devin Kalani. 3 guys, that have just been phenomenal as far as like the things that you guys don't see. It isn't just about being great players. It's about who really trusts when the adversity of the season, who's going to be that guy who's really going to stake a pillar in the ground and say, we got this, right? And that adversity is coming as soon as Friday, right? There'll be moments in that game that we don't plan for, that we got to be ready for, and we'll lean into these 3 guys. We had 8 players get over 20 votes. Okay, some coaches might say, well, that's a lack of leadership. I look at it just the opposite. I think we got a lot of people that have invested heavily in our team and our university and its people, and I think that's what you showed in that captain's vote. Really proud to work with those 3 men because, this is their program. Damon has come a really long way. I've worked with Devin Kalani for a long time since he's been a freshman. Then Nick Anderson, I believe, got 99% of the vote. He's that guy, and just excited for those guys. The other big announcement was the starting quarterback. Robbie Ashford will be our starting quarterback for Kennesaw State. Really excited about what he did and what he put on tape. And it really came down to what I talked about earlier, just forging our identity on offense. And I thought as we went throughout camp, really showed what we could do with Robbie at the helm. Thought he did the best job of taking care of the football, which is, number 1 for me at that position. Deshaun Purdy has a bright future. And remember this, he has a bright future. As we go through our course together, I'm excited about what he can do, and he'll be prepared and ready. Told those guys yesterday morning, told the team immediately after that. Excited about what Robbie brings to us and his leadership, and those guys know what we expect. Okay, they are the ones that make the most decisions on game day, and excited about those guys getting out there. The other big announcement, want to clear this up, Denny Dennison has left the team for personal reasons. I'm going to really leave it at that, but we're going to move forward as a team from here. And that really leads us into game 1, Kennesaw State. Our players know that we talk all in opportunity. This is opportunity 1. Every opportunity demands our best. Okay, you only get 12 of these things. You practice football way more than you ever play it, and our guys are ready for this opportunity. I want to start off by thanking the Winston-Salem Police Department. Okay, they will be our Game 1 sponsor. Chief Penn has been here, I think, 2 times during camp. They actually got me. They brought in, I think, the all-star police team to go through a punt, pass, and kick competition against me. I won't give away the results. I think they will say that, but needless to say, they were pretty good in that area. Excited for that partnership. Chief Penn came and spoke to our team. It's easy to see, you look at leadership at all levels, to see that man come in here and command a room, our city and our community is in great hands. Okay, leads us into Kennesaw State. They're just like us. New coaching staff, new offense, new defense, new special teams, countless transfer players. You heard me say it last week. This is a rules and principles football game. Okay, we got to play extremely fast. We got to rely on our techniques. We got to be ready for anything. Right, on offense, Coach Mack is known for a little bit of what I call pace and space. Right, his history, at Tennessee all the way back to North Carolina Central. He's a 3-time, MEAC champ. He's coach of the year in that league. He has tremendous pedigree, but offensive coordinator also was a Tennessee guy. Goes back to UCF, and the core of that Baylor space and pace offense, they're going to get you in a lot of space. They're going to throw a lot of bubble screens. They're going to take the ball down the field, and they can score in an instant. Okay, they're going to go extremely fast, right? So our defensive players have done a good job of preparing for that pace that we'll see on Friday night. Defensively, it's been great, but got a chance to watch a lot of Paris Musketeers film. I've learned a lot about the European League in Hamburg, Germany, okay, but they play very aggressive. I would say they do not sit on their heels. They're going to try to dictate the action. That's been what they've, wanted to do over the course of their time there. Special teams coordinator from Miami of Ohio. But at the end of the day, it's about how we play. This game is all about us. And I want our guys to understand they're trained in a certain way. They're trained in the dark. So when we step out on that field, trust your training. Okay, understand you're 1/11th on every play, and whatever that moment requires, that moment demands your best. There'll be a lot of things that, are going to be great and are going to go our way. There's things that aren't going to go our way, right? That's when I want to see our team respond. That's when I want to see our leaders communicate, right? Because our coaching staff has a plan, but once again, not knowing what they're going to do, sometimes you can crumple those plans up, and we got to go play football hard, fast, together, and I think that's going to be what you're going to see on Friday night. So excited about finally getting out there, guys. I know we talked a lot about this since December 20th. To get out there and represent Wake Forest University is an honor of a lifetime, and I'm really, really excited. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions.
Jake, what about Robbie's skill set and personality fit what you wanted the identity of the offense to be?
Well, we talked about physical football, and when I spoke to the team and I talked to those guys, there's an ideal of offense that we will continue to shape here. But Robbie right now, there's a tough physical guy in there. There's a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. There's a guy that has always competed no matter what situation we put him in, and excited for him to take the next step. Both guys were vastly different in their elite traits and skill sets. But I thought he did a really good job of kind of commanding the offense. And I thought you saw that as we went into the second scrimmage. I think he had the best first scrimmage as well, but I think he just gives us the best chance to win. And there's an expectation at that position just like there is in any other position. We expect him to go out there and have great body language and making sure he's staying in the fight no matter what happens, and really, really excited about what he can do for our football team.
Jake, last week I asked you what were you looking for to make that final decision between the two quarterbacks, and your answer was command the locker room, command the huddle, command the sidelines. What did Robbie do in those last 3-4 days that showed you that he had that?
To be honest with you, there's a lot of things behind the scenes, that I'm probably going to keep within our team that we did with him and his teammates and the offense. We're just really confident in this decision. I want to make sure everyone understands that. I thought our timeline was right. I thought we gave every person an opportunity in that room, and I thought Robbie won the job. And he's going to continue to win it. And we're going to work with Deshaun in every facet because, the future is really, really bright. But I just think our team is ready. You could feel finally when that's a big decision. I think every member, whether you're offense, defense, special teams, understood what that took to make that decision, and we're ready to move forward and excited about the opportunity for Robbie and our team on Friday night. The plan right now is to play Robbie, and I think we'll go into that and we'll navigate any situation that comes up, just like every position. We've only scrimmaged, right? And the best part about that position is, they haven't been hit in a long, long time. But I do believe, Robbie has the great ability to get out a lot of those situations and make big plays out of things that aren't there. So excited to see that live in action, and we'll just keep taking every situation as it comes. But I told him there definitely won't be a quick hook. I don't want him playing thinking one mistake he's out. That definitely isn't it. We're convicted on Robbie being our starting quarterback and excited about what he's going to do.
How much did Robbie's experience play into this decision?
Well, I think you take everything into account, but there wasn't, he's had starting experience. I mean, Deshaun played, how many games last year before he got injured. So, and he hasn't played football in a while, right? So it's just all that stuff coming together that we feel like Robbie's the right guy to lead our football team.
Jake, you have a lot of whores in the 2D.
Just a couple.
Is that a reflection of you wanting guys rotating position during the game, that it's not so much a first string, second string per se?
Well, I think it's a lot of things. I think there's a lot of guys that earn playing reps, and they deserve to be on there. And I think that's really important. Defensively especially, we're really deep at some positions on the defensive line. That's a unique luxury to have, especially our edge position. Those guys deserve to be on there. And we will, especially in game one, because of how fast Kennesaw is going to go on offense. You're going to see a lot of guys rotating in. We got to stay fresh. It's the first game. There's a little anxiety. Everyone kind of wears out their motors pretty quickly. So I think it's a little bit of that, and I think it's just, keeping our opponent guessing a little bit on what we're doing and who's going to be out there in different roles. But also, through the game processes, some of those roles will be cemented. So we're going to play a lot of different people, excited about getting those guys out there in different ways. So that's kind of how that reflection of the depth chart looks.
The guessing game, you have so many new players, obviously transfer portal and immediate eligibility plays. Everybody's a mystery at this point.
Yeah.
And then you add in 2 new coaching staffs. Is this going to be like 2 punchers kind of feeling their way out in the first quarter?
Yeah, I think it is, and that's what I meant. Back to your rules and principles, like defense, got to shed blocks. Got to play with extreme effort, right? That's what this offense demands if you want to defend it. And I think, I played a Tulsa team that played in this Baylor offense. It played a bunch of, Utah State, comes to mind that has played this style. You got to shed blocks and you got to play with extreme effort. Offensively, we talked a lot about, the power spread and being physical. It's got to show up now. And they're going to be extremely aggressive. So, we just got to make sure we're worried about our execution points. And then, I think coaches, obviously the great ones are great in game to figure out what they're doing, what we need to do to counterpunch that, and have kind of a bigger menu up than we normally would going into a game, just so we can navigate, what they're doing.
As a follow-up to that, we just talked to Coach Mack a little while ago, and he's got Dexter Williams starting at quarterback, who threw 30 passes all of last year at Georgia Southern. How do you scout that?
Well, we watched all his PFF, and actually Coach Hayes got a upfront in-person deal at Michigan State. He took one to the house on him in 3rd down, so he remembers that vividly. But you see a big, strong guy. I believe 6'1", 210. You can navigate the pocket. He can create off script. He's got a great arm. I don't know if they want to just sit there and run him 40 times. This Tennessee offense isn't really built on that style. But he's capable of doing a lot of things and can hurt you off script, and that's not on any defensive coordinator's call sheet. So I think they've announced that for the last couple of weeks, so he must have been a kind of a definite their guy, and we got to be ready to combat that. But the skill set is high. Last year he played some at Georgia Southern, so same type of deal as Robbie. I mean, you've been a little bit backup, you've been a situational guy. To be the full-time guy, there's going to be a lot of excitement there probably from both quarterbacks. Well, yeah, and same thing. You can watch all the Washington State film or South Alabama or Michigan State you want. Hopefully we've evolved as coaches and schemes and different players and all that type of stuff, right? I mean, it's just hard even through their roster to watch, Kennesaw State players. Offensively, like the whole line's gone. You got a couple of receivers that were backups. Tailbacks are gone. defensively is where, I believe they have, 6 or 7 preseason, kind of all conference guys in the Conference USA. So that's where they return a little bit more of their guys, especially in the defensive backfield. I think those guys, allow them to play more aggressive, and we kind of anticipate that with, probably their ability to want to go out there and stop the run.
Coach, as a whole, how ready are you for your first game as the head coach?
I always say this going into the season, coaches always want probably one more week. Players wanted to play last week, right? So we're ready. We're ready. It's time to be tested. We need to, as an organization, as a program, as coaches, need to see where we're at. We're going into the season extremely confident. We've created a lot of belief and energy and strain within our team, and it's time to get out there. And there's 1,000 seats left. Okay, it's big for our program. Right, when you want to get to that next level of Power 4 teams, a legacy stadium needs to be rocking every Saturday, Friday, Thursday, whenever we play, right? So it's really important. And, I say that's what big-time programs do. There's 1 million people in the Triad. I know they love football. I was at the Pop Warner games on Saturday. Okay, the Triad Ducks took it to the Forsyth County Broncos. Okay, my boys had a good learn on there. I think it was 49-0 combined. So a lot of good learns in the Dickert family on Saturday. So just excited about taking that field, feeling the energy of the stadium. It's going to be a proud moment for me, my family, the players that stayed here, the players that joined us. I really mean that. It's a big moment, but we got to channel that energy and emotion. We got to make sure we're playing within ourselves. And the first game, you saw it, like Stanford and Hawaii, like there's a lot of things that you can do to beat yourself, right? We don't get preseason games. You got to be ready out the gate, and we've worked tirelessly in the last 4 weeks to be ready for this moment.
Talk about that Stanford game. How obvious as a coach is it feel like why it's not FCS, but hey, look, doesn't matter if they're not before, it's still kind of certain.
Well, yeah, I've been there so much coming up my journey. I don't tend to focus on that. I want our guys focused one play at a time, right? There's no score expectation in this game, okay? It is just whatever the moment requires. Our guys better be prepared and focused in that moment, right? We're preparing for a 60-minute battle. That is what it takes. What I showed from Stanford, Hawaii, is the sack dance, right? 15-yard penalty, and that cost them 3 points. That's the margin of victory, right? Showed the Hawaii returner fair catching it off the bounce of the 1-yard line, balls down, sack, fumble, touchdown. Like, those are the things our team has to be prepared and ready for. But on the flip side, if it happens to you, it's part of the game. Let's keep moving. I want to see our guys respond constantly to the game situations, and I think that's what I'm most excited about seeing.
Coach, what would you define as success at the end of the season?
That's so far in the future. I'm worried about success today, to be honest with you. I thought we had a really great practice this morning. It's the first day of classes. Okay, throughout history, I would say the first day of class is traditionally your worst practice. Okay, guys got a lot on their plate. They're worried about, their outfits and what they look like and trying to look good day one. But just getting on rhythm and routine. This is the first time in a long time where the first day of classes has been on game week. Everywhere else, we've already had a week to really kind of get synced up with those things. And, our guys know why they're here, right? This is an elite education, right? So our guys need to understand what that takes, and they're going to be elite performers on the field and off the field. So excited to get into that rhythms. But we're just taking this thing one moment, one day at a time. And if we can do that successfully, we can stay in the dark throughout the course of the season. I believe we can create success.
Coach Mack, a little while ago, called Demon an NFL player, said he will be in the NFL next year. A lot of hype around Demon, a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
Do you have to work with Demon to keep it all centered so that the outside stuff, he's not paying attention to it?
Yeah, I think Demon has a tremendous support system here, and we've been very, and that goes back to Coach Clausen, right? But we've been very, just on top of what he needs, right? And I think that's keeping his circle tight. Coach Anna Keone, Coach Ephraim Reed, these guys have done a tremendous job working with Demon. And pressure is a privilege. It is. He's worked his tail off to get to this point. He deserves the notoriety, but at the end of the day, that doesn't go out in equal production, right? So, I've seen it. We talked about social media the other day in the team meeting. When you win, people love you. When you lose, they're against you. And it's the same people. So just stay the course. Keep your circle really, really tight. I think Damon's done an excellent job of that. And all I want him to do is go out there and be himself. He's a dynamic playmaker. He's an elite competitor. He's turned into a tremendous leader. I'm really proud of Demon Claiborne. I can't stand up here and say that enough of his growth in our time together. And his growth isn't done. He's still 21 years old. We're preparing him for every facet of life, not just the NFL. I think that's a big deal. He's taken a heavy, heavy course load so he can graduate after this semester. Just really, really proud of Demond, where he's at, and we're going to support him everything that comes his way.
Ask about the other returning player who's Captain Nick Anderson. We've made a lot about your getting to know Demond right after your intro.
Yeah.
And everything. What was your process to getting to know Nick and getting to understand where he's come from? I'm also curious if you knew about the game he had his freshman year during COVID after your interceptions was on NBC.
Yeah.
Freshman walk-on.
I've become familiar with that story. Just what a story, right? Just in general, from a guy believing in himself, walking on at Wake Forest, taking a chance, creating success, doing it the hard way, earning a scholarship, all ACC the last couple of years. I remember when I first met with him on video conference because, Coach Clausen said he was one of the top 5 guys that you better talk to immediately. There was no talk about leaving. It was, Coach, we got this core defensive players. We've created a great connection. We did not have success, and we're hungry to go get it, right? And then we just started talking about him, his journey, his leadership, what he wanted to accomplish, how can I help him. I talked about some of the former safeties, and players that I've coached that have made it, that he reminded me of because they do it off of smarts and anticipation. And, you're never going to look at Nick Anderson, and if Nick was here, just say wow, just what a great athlete, right? But what a great football player, right? Because of how hard he works. There's been 3 times throughout the course of the last 4 weeks, he just stopped practice or the scrimmage and said, Coach, I got him. Says all you need to know about that kid, right? And whoever's watching, hire Nick Anderson. Okay, when he's done playing, for whatever job you have, hire Nick Anderson. That's the greatest thing I could say. If anyone calling for a recommendation on Nick, it's as simple, right? He just does things the right way. He's a tremendous leader, and it's an honor to work with him to lead this football team.
A week ago, Quincy Bryan said he and Nick and a couple other guys during the coaching transition had made a pact among themselves to stay. They said that they owed it to Wake Forest because of what Wake Forest had given to them. Were you aware that these players had kind of had that discussion among themselves?
No, but you can see those core defensive guys in the way they play in practice, the way they hang out in these seats, the way they are in the locker room. I think they're really joyful that it worked out, and I mean that in a really positive way. They took a chance more on each other than they did on me or Coach Hayes or our coaching staff. It's great to hear in today's world that still means something to them, because that WF, it's got to mean something to you, right? And that's when we talk about 43 new players. Those core guys have been through the wars with that jersey, with that logo on their helmet. Guys like Quincy Bryant and Dylan Hazen and Nick Anderson and Rushan Tung and Devon Patterson, it means something to them, right? They need to teach all these guys about that. They need to teach me about that, right? And I've been really proud to work with these guys, but you can feel it. And I think that's the best thing. It's not about what they say. You can feel it. And Quincy's been tremendous, and excited about the year all those guys are going to put together. Mm-hmm. Toughness, consistency, shows up every day. I don't know if I've ever seen him on an injury report, and there's a nasty position in there. His multiplicity, I think he's grown as a player, and his story's great. He came in here and he earned it as well. So you need those guys. Anytime I've been on real successful teams, you've had just those stalwart guys that nobody talks about, that does their job, and it's not flashy. Then all of a sudden you look up at the end of the season, Zach had 4.5 sacks, 8 TFLs, and you're like, man, I didn't even notice that guy. He's one of those guys, right? So all those guys will rotate tremendously. Dallas and Jaden and Zach, Smiley will get in there, KT, those guys are going to be in there quite a bit. But he's been a stalwart in that room with that defense, and just really excited about where he's at, especially as an older player. A lot of those guys think they can't keep improving, and Zach has done just that.
With Demon, obviously he's no longer on the chain of command. What's kind of the role in terms of not being able to get hit,
Yeah.
keeping him fresh, but also saying, hey, we need you to remind yourself how to get hit before week hits. NC State comes in week 3, week 4.
Yeah, I think Demon, we're really open and honest just kind of about the plan there, and that doesn't mean he'll never go back there ever. But I think the amount of touches and carries and things that we want to do with him on offense, it was a unique blend of, hey, Demon, what do you need? I always go to the player, like, what do you need to be ready? And it's a contact position. It was good. There's a couple of defensive guys were fired up a little bit on whatever practice that was, and he got kind of hit a couple of times. I'm like, I like it. All right, he needs those things before he goes. But we kept him on a lot of live tackle situations. His ball security history has been phenomenal. So there's a couple of things there that we feel good about him being ready for week 1.
Anything else, guys?
I appreciate everybody. Go Deeks. All right.